Texas versus Michigan. The Stats Guru Corner stat of the week or stats of the week. The history between both of these.
By the way.
Why does it say this? Why am I doing this? There we go.
Why have you done this? What has happened?
Number 3 Texas versus number 10, or number 3 Texas at number 10 Michigan, 12 p.m. on Fox. Y'all know how they're about to do. That's Guru Corner for this week. The history. Despite their storied histories, Texas and Michigan have played only once before in the 2005 Rose Bowl. Texas recorded a 38-37 victory when Dusty Mangum kicked a 37-yard field goal as time expired. Texas quarterback Vince Young rushed for 192 yards, 4 touchdowns, and also threw for another score. Nasty, nasty work.
Schnasty.
Well, not thanks for watching, but here's the betting stat line. 89% of the bets and 96% of the money is on Texas minus 6.5.
Lord.
77% of the bets and 78% of the money is on over 45 total points. It's nasty work. Yeah.
I did not think it would be that much.
After that first game, man.
I mean, I feel strongly.
I know I go last on this,
but
yeah.
I am surprised at that much money.
Sell the house.
My goodness, where to start?
I don't think it matters. I'm gonna just go ahead and say off the rip. Oh wait. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Sorry, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀, go ahead.
All right. This is. I'll just you can put it up. I have Texas winning, and personally, I don't think it'll be particularly close. I don't care if it's in the big house. Okay, it might be a loud environment. Texas went into Bryant-Denny Stadium last year, the same week, and beat Alabama by double digits. Say what you want about that game and the state of Alabama at that point, but look, that was still a very tough environment to play in. The big house is not going to phase Quinn Ewers going into his 3rd year as a starter. The bread and butter of Michigan for years under Jim Harbaugh has been the running game, and under
people said JJ McCarthy though.
Yeah, they did have JJ McCarthy. Come on, top 10 pick or whatever it was. I don't care. Under Sharon Moore, that offensive philosophy is not. Like it hadn't changed. They ran the ball 34 times for 148 yards against Fresno State in a 30-10 win, where they had an explosion of points, scoring 17 points in the 4th quarter. Now, keep in mind, though, EA College Football 25 cover athlete Donovan Edwards had an excellent 11 carries for 27 yards on 2.5 yards per carry. Elite numbers, if you ask me. So, I will say, though, Khalil Mullings definitely carried the rushing stats for Michigan here with 92 yards on 15 carries, which is just over 6 yards a carry. But the passing game for Michigan greatly struggled. So on offense, you kind of know what you're going to get in Michigan. You're going to get a lot of ground and pound with not much threat in the passing game outside of Colston Loveland, their excellent tight end. I really like him. He's a great player. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, they were excellent at shutting down the run for Fresno State. They have a really underrated running back in Malik Sherrod. He only totaled 24 yards, and as a team, Fresno State accounted for 9 yards because there were multiple sacks on the quarterback Mikey Keene. However, speaking of Keene, he tossed the ball for 235 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And let's also keep in mind that Quinn Ewers is much better than Keene is. His weapons are exponentially better than Keene's are. Their offensive line exponentially better than Fresno State's is. So it's going to be strength on strength in terms of Michigan's front 7, especially that defensive line headlined by Mason Graham versus the offensive line of Texas. It's going to be strength on strength there, but Texas, I think, is going to have an overwhelming advantage when you compare the offenses, and the defenses, I think, will be pretty comparable. So just looking at that, I think that Texas has the edge. Texas's defense looked fantastic against Colorado State, though. While they allowed a 100-yard rusher, they held him to 4.2 yards per carry and the team to 3.7 yards per carry. And overall, they only allowed 3 plays of 10 yards or more. So they've really limited any big plays. And against Michigan, I think that's going to be enough to get it done. Not to mention Texas's new wide receivers, all of them found the end zone. So if there are any doubts about them meshing well together with Quinn Ewers, bringing in all of those players to replace the talent that was drafted, Bond scored, Golden scored twice. They both caught touchdown passes from Quinn Ewers, and Silas Bolden from Oregon State caught a touchdown pass from Arch Manning, and both running backs, Jaden Blue and Jarrett Gibson, the true freshman,
bless you, sir,
were efficient on limited carries. The offense was rolling. I just don't see how Texas doesn't run away with this one. And if you want to talk more stats with me, I would encourage you to say to look at the tape, right? Go watch Texas against Colorado State, specifically when Quinn Ewers was in there, right? They were moving the ball. They were efficient. And go watch Michigan versus Fresno State. They were quite the opposite. They did not look like a top 10 team. And I know that they won by 20. I know that the running game kind of picked up and they scored 17 in the fourth quarter, but you have to play a complete game against Texas if you are Michigan this week. You cannot rely on a fourth quarter explosion. Otherwise, you will get blown out in those first 3 quarters. So I see Texas winning this one probably by around the 10 to 17 range. I think it'll be double digits, but Texas, I think, matches up well here, and they just looked really impressive last week, while Michigan looked quite the opposite.
I agree, man. I agree with all your points here. Not the fact that I always agree with you, but I'm going to have to agree this week. Texas on a roll, man. I think the one thing that's surprising about their full game is Ryan Wingo, Isaiah Bond, Jonte Cook, Matthew Golden, Gunnar Helm, Silas Bolden catching him a touchdown pass. This wide receiving core is way deeper than I think everybody in the country gave them credit for. And Silas Bolden to me is still the secret weapon that nobody really knows about. But of course us, because Hayden, another player that I talked about, and don't you even? I know we didn't even get to talk about my boy South Carolina Gage Larvadain, but it is what it is. He's on a bad team. Leave him alone. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is at Texas. I think that this is going to be a rout. Like,
yeah.
Will Johnson can only save you so much. That kid, what's his name? Mason Graham up front can only save you so much up front. Texas is mad about what happened last year to him. Quinn Ewers is locked in. He made some pretty good throws downfield that
he's the deputy of Fansville now, all right? He's got some extra motivation to him. That's not awarded to just anybody.
Hey, look, I think Arch Manning's spring game put a little bit of threat into him.
That's possible.
I'm telling you. It put a little bit of threat into him. And then you have Arch come in and then go 5 for 6 and then throw a touchdown.
And yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a little threatening. But it's also, as Steve Sarkisian too, he's sitting there talking about, yeah, boy, it don't matter what happens because
he said, run me my NIL money.
Well, Quinn is on a short leash because he hasn't had the best bill of health of any quarterback in college football. But you feel a little bit better knowing that Arch Manning can go out there and ball out too. You saw from the spring game to this game. Now, temper your expectations till we actually play a good team, a good Michigan team. Michigan's defense is still no joke. Their offense is all over the place. Is it Alex Orji? Is it Warren? Who's going to get the ball down there? Is it going to be Donovan Edwards? Is it going to really secure the rock instead of throwing or running for 20 yards a game? Like that's not going to work here. The one thing about this is Texas shut out Colorado State. They scored 0 points. Colorado State is no joke. Coach Norvell, the quarterback, Troy Horton, all those guys, they're no joke. And I still think when Colorado State plays Colorado, it's going to be a close game. The best thing for Colorado, not to get into the Colorado thing, but the best thing for Colorado State they have done is got shut out by Texas because they're going to come in and I think they're going to be competitive again against Colorado. That's neither here nor there. Michigan had Fresno State close most of the game. And Mikey Keene did not play Mikey Keene type of football in the first half, but started to play that in the second half. Mikey Keene's a really good quarterback. Another Hawaii product. You can't escape me, Sora.
I'm sleep.
You can't escape me.
I can't escape both of y'all are ooses. I can't escape both of y'all. Y'all should just put them on.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But again, if Fresno State was not a Group of 5 school and Mikey Keene played for another Power 5 school, let's say if he played on Northwestern, I believe they could have beat Michigan. For what had happened, for all intents and purposes, I think they could have beat Michigan. And playing them at home too is no joke. They played them at home, right? I'm not. Yeah, they played them at home.
Yeah, they played them in Michigan.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's nasty work. It's nasty work. Texas is also missing CJ Baxter, by the way.
Yep. Out for the season. And true freshman Cam Clark. They lost 2 highly touted running backs to season-ending injuries before the season. Also, right before you go, Sora, I think it's very important to note that Texas also, behind those wide receivers that we mentioned, Bond, Golden, and Bolden, they have 3 former 5-stars in Jonte Cook, DeAndre Moore, and Ryan Wingo. Wingo, who is in this last recruiting class, he's a true freshman. So they are loaded at wide receiver, very, very deep. Don't sleep on that group.
And Ryan Wingo led the receivers this week.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
70 yards, four catches, 0 touchdowns. He'll get him one this week if he keeps playing the way that he is.
Yeah.
Steve Sarkisian is going to reward him for playing well. But that's all I got, man. I mean, I think Texas. I underrated them because Colorado State's not a bad FCS or a group of. They're not FCS school. That's a Group of 5 school.
Yeah, and they're not that bad. They kept it up with Colorado last year.
Yep. They will again this year.
On a dog walk.
They will again this year. Yep.
Mark my words. Anyways, you already know. Horns down. No, I'm kidding. All right. I mean, pretty much Texas so far. You know you're doing great when you're shutting out a team, and it's Colorado State. It's not even an FCS school you're shutting out. This is a Group of 5 we're talking about here. Quinn Ewers, 20 for 27, 260, 3 touchdowns, pick. He spread the ball around to 7 different guys. Some of the noticeable ones: Isaiah Bond, who went for 5 catches, 61 yards. 1 fixed helmet mid-route and a touchdown after said fixed helmet. That should have ended up on What the Fuchs, but I digress. I mean, as we've mentioned, Ryan Wingo led Texans in the yards, 4 for 70, and Matthew Golden, 3 for 50 with 2 touchdowns on top of it. You had Jared Gibson and Jadon Blue, both double-digit carries, with 55 for Gibson and 67 for Blue. Again, defense shutting them out against Colorado State. That's something to scoff at. Yes, they didn't have a sack. They had 1 interception, and they kept them to 74 passing yards at 118 rushing yards. And also, Colorado State went 0 for 2 on 4th downs. Michigan. Ooh, boy. Once again, the bread and butter is going to be the defense. Will Johnson had that 100-yard pick 6. Josiah Stewart had 2 sacks and 4 pressures, and this was against Kelvin Banks, a highly regarded offensive lineman on Fresno State, and was even dubbed the scouting matchup of the week by a certain Jim Nagy on Twitter.
Kelvin Banks goes to Texas.
Why did he say Fresno State then?
I don't know.
Oh, no, sorry. This is leading up to this. My bad. I cannot type.
You're good.
I have 30 minutes. I've had 30 minutes of sleep today and a ghost can. Leave me be.
Sheesh.
Anyways, they picked off Mikey Keene twice, sacked him 3 times, could not get comfortable in the pocket. Michigan's offense, on the other hand, is nothing like with what we saw last year. We talked about Davis Warren being the only starting quarterback. He went for 15 for 25, 118 with 1 pick and 1 touchdown. They sprinkled in Alex Orji a little bit, but he threw a total of 2 passes and only completed 1 for 3 yards and ran the ball 5 times for 32 yards. It was like Michigan was trying to find out what would stick. It's like with what, NDSU did with their quarterback with Cam Miller. Anytime they would get hot, or even if they were just trying to find a spark to happen, it just immediately would fade once that QB switch happened. Hyped up running back, NCAA 25 cover, Donovan Edwards. Elite day, 11 attempts and 27 yards, with backup quarterback Alex Orji leading him in yardage. Khalil Mullings, as Khalil mentioned, 15 carries, 92 rushing yards. That was your lead rusher, not Donovan Edwards. The only way that Michigan, or not I say the only way, but how Michigan can win this game is, yes, it's at Ann Arbor. That did help them in the fourth quarter last week, but it does give them a big boost. It is a noon game, and Michigan's defense is going to need to replicate exactly what they did at the end of the season against Ohio State in the playoffs, in the national championship. We're going to need, I'm not a Michigan fan, but Michigan's going to need Will Johnson and Josiah Stewart to be on the alphas on that defense, and the entire defense needs to be clicking. Keep Texas to short fields. Get some turnovers if you can to help out your offense, so the offense can have short fields, or even just stop them on third downs. Defense isn't the only one that needs to return back to its former glory, though. Receivers have to step up now that Roman Wilson and Cornelius Johnson are gone. Your quarterback, gone. Blake Corum, gone. Donovan Edwards, you are the main guy on offense that needs to step up. You need to come out here and have the type of performance you had in the national championship when you had 2 touchdowns. You need to go back to that. I don't know if they will, but I will tell you why Texas will win. Yes, much like Michigan, Texas did lose a bunch of guys in the draft last year, but they replaced them heavily. Quinn Ewers, Steve Sarkisian can operate the offense like they did against Bama last year when they went into Bryant Kelly Stadium at a home game. They were the away team. It was a top 10 matchup, and they beat Alabama. So they need to replicate that going into Ann Arbor. Again, the way that Michigan was last week, I think there's only so much that defense can be able to do. Maybe it'll be a very defensive game, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Texas.
Texas is the pick, and I couldn't agree more. I think, again, just like the Kentucky game, this one's a little harder to predict because you don't know how Michigan's going to respond. Yeah. I trust their team to respond more than I trust the South Carolina team to respond to
here's
to
a
Kentucky.
Question. Have they announced if there's going to be a quarterback change, or like if that's a progress that's happening, or is it just?
I think they're going to keep it under wraps. I don't think they're going to let everybody know their cards.
That is fair.
Because they got Warren, they got Orji, they got 2 other quarterbacks. They kind of got a deep but inexperienced quarterback room. Yeah. And all of them have promise. So again, this is what I was saying could be the downfall for Kentucky if they don't go with the starter and let him ride it out. How can you expect anybody in their position to feel comfortable when it's like, oh, we're going to start? It's what got Jim Harbaugh in trouble with Kate McNamara and J.J. McCarthy. We're going to start you for a game. It's almost reminiscent of that. We're going to start you for a half and put him in the next half, or let you get this game, let the other person get the game. By week 4, we'll decide who our quarterback is. It's not guaranteed that you're going to win any of these games when you don't name a starter. I don't know. That never makes me feel good. But the rest of the squad, it's a lot of Longhorns love here for this game. And of course, I think, just to put it out there, y'all know my feelings on this. Michigan has the worst fan base in America. I don't care. They are the worst. Outside of our boy DLF, I want them to lose this game, and I want them to lose it bad.
Well, it's funny because even Michigan fans on Twitter, DLF included, is I'm glad we won the national championship because this team is bad.
Well, even he tried to argue with me. He didn't try to argue with me, but he disagreed with me. I said, y'all boys are cooked this year. And he was like, nah. And then saw last week's performance.
Like,
and now he said, yeah, we're cooked.
they traded in the Pistons, because the Pistons were off tangent. These guys traded in the Pistons and Detroit going to the Super Bowl for this Michigan win.
That's nasty work, man.
Now they're sacrificing Michigan and probably the Pistons again so Detroit can win the Super Bowl.
You shouldn't have had Connor Stallions on your team. Karn was a bitch.
Didn't he just like get blown out in his first high school game?
Yep.
Nice. Pause.
Yep.
Wait.
Yeah, Karn was a bitch. And it always comes in and collects his receipts. For those that want to say, oh, we didn't cheat. We cheated last year. Shut up.
Everybody steals the signs.